They do both. They do both sides.
And then they would just redo the line again.
They'll do the line again.
Yes. Yeah, just to
It'll be
make
interesting to see what. It'll be 8 years from now. It'll be interesting to see what that looks like in 8 years. I won't be there, so whoever is the congressional member will be.
So you're not going to be here in 8 years.
You said 10 years from now, right?
No, I said, and I continue to say, and I get this a lot of thought because I'm a big term limits. You guys have said 100 times. Freshman term aside, learning how to be a congressional member in these past 2 years, in 118, learning a lot about being a congressional member. And then then you're like, okay, I got it. And I give you 3 years to maneuver through Congress, maybe become a chairman. Possibility I'd love to be like the VA chair. And then give it to somebody else. Here you go.
I agree with you.
You could, I was like, yeah, I get it. And some members are like, well, it's not up to me when I leave. It's up to those who vote for me.
Put your name on the ballot.
You do.
So it is. So I mean, it is.
You do, but you still have to have the. Y'all to make that move.
No, what I'm saying is, it is up to us to get you elected. But first and foremost, you have to be willing to be on the ballot.
Be on the ballot, yes. It's been so interesting to meet the members of Congress that have been there, as a freshman, meeting my freshman classmates, and then the 5 and 10 year members, and then the 15 to 20, and then the 25 plus members. And everybody has such a perspective on what it is to be a congressional member. And the members that have been there for 20 plus years, 25 into the 30, Hal Rogers from Kentucky, he's our dean. He's been there for, I think it's over 30 years. Wow. He represents the haulers out in Kentucky. Even some of the members in Texas. But it is so. Now I run into problems in DC, and I think DC is just a problem. Okay.
In more ways than one.
In more ways. So you try to figure out, how do I accomplish this given task? Right? We all do that every single day. If something lands in front of you that's an issue, a problem, how do I get from start to finish? And I always go to the finish line and walk backwards. It's the best way to accomplish what I'm trying to do. And the members that have been there for a very long time have that figured out. Because they've experienced the problems that I've experienced as a freshman, which I'm still learning. But they've been there for so long, and I won't mention his name, but one particular individual at Texas, I walked in and was like, I had to see him. I got to watch this. And a phone call later, it was done. But he knew who to call, and they knew who to call, and it happened in a heartbeat. Which you have to have relationships up there to do that. If it was me sitting in my office going, all right, what's my next step here? Where do I need to go? But the members that have been there that long, they've treaded those waters, and that's where the benefit in somebody who's been there for an extended period of time. They've got that mechanism in place to help you kind of figure that out.
And those people that are still there, do they still have passion to do something right for the country, or are they doing it for the personal accomplishment at this point?
Pull up a chair.
I'm in there. Let's just drag them around.
It's kind of member driven. There's some members that it's their livelihood. They absolutely live and breathe the word.
Come on, how are you? Just identity.
I'm telling you.
And then there's some members that are there that have been just grinding away at something specific. There's a member, he actually retired. He's like, I've been working on this one thing for 10 years. And he finally got it. Because remember, you have to have the vote series to pass legislation. So you have to convince every single member of Congress up to 218 votes at a minimum, and then the Senate. And he was working this one piece of legislation, and he finally convinced you. He finally convinced you. all up until he got those votes on both sides. You had to do both sides. You get a sign.
Yeah.
And he goes, I finally got it, so I'm done. He goes, I promised myself and I promised my base I would do this. And he did not give up until he got it.
Oh, so do you have something that you're working on like that?
Foreign immigration.
Oh, okay.
Foreign immigration. That's the number one thing that I campaigned on. It's the number one issue in the districts. The number one thing that everybody asked me to address, and the thing that the office is. Because you say the office is like laser focused on, because there's so many things going on. Because we're big on veterans. We're big on homeland. We're big on national defense. Because those are the committees we sit on. With that border and immigration policy that has not been, it's been addressed, over the decades. People try to push something that has been successful, which has not happened. So myself and other members on Democratic and Republican side are putting what we think will be another step.
What is your ideal? I mean, you say you start from this way and then move back. So you start to the finish. So what is your finished statement?
So we've taken legislation that exists that has been debated between the Democrats and the Republicans that everyone agrees on. And you can't say majority, but a vast number of Republicans say, okay, this makes sense. Democrats say, okay, this makes sense. Hey, you're going to get bloody. Okay, I'm probably going to get bloody. But here is Congress working together, which is like the thing that everyone asks. Is like, can Congress ever come together and work alongside each other? Can you do that? So that's what we're trying to do. So we're taking legislation from H.R. 2 from last year. We're taking the legislation that came it didn't make its way down, but the Senate bill that failed. And we're taking what was agreed upon, what didn't work, we're removing, and we're trying to put it in this lane that, okay, the majority of the Republicans are going to go, is it perfect? No. Is it something that the American public will rally behind? Yet, but you have to do both sides, right? And we're not there yet.
But what is the picture we're going to look at? I mean, like, yes, agree here, play here. We'll play well together. What does the final picture look like?
Well, we don't have the final picture, but what we're doing is it's immigration reform and entry at the same time. Okay. So building the wall, redefining asylum, H-2A, H-2B visas. What does that look like for the workers that we need inside the country in order to do farming and as well as our doctors, our scientists, our teachers that come under the beat. Increasing our number of judges, immigration agents, ICE agents to handle not only the flow of illegal immigration, but
and to do that you have to make that job attractive, because right now it's not an attractive job.
There's nothing. Okay.
Hey guys.
So for the rest of your life, never say attractive and government job in the same sentence.
Okay. Fair. That's fair. Right.
All right. There's nothing attractive. When I was in the SEAL teams, there's nothing attractive about that. I mean, every day you get up, put your life on the line, so there's a private thing. But it's necessary. Our service members do that for us.
Okay.
But it's not attractive.
Okay. Let me rephrase that. At this point, there's no incentive. Unless it's a personal passion.
Well, that goes hand in hand. Those run parallel together.
Okay.
Out here, we understand what national our patriotism is great.
I do that for my wife.
Our love for the country is unmeasurable.
Right.
Do you have a suggestion to make it attractive?
No, because I'm not allowed to use that word. No, that's what I'm asking. I don't have that suggestion. I just know that there is a problem there, and I don't know how you fix that problem, because right now, if you were to look at overall, the judges are overrun. I mean, they're overrun. They're not allowed to do really what their calling, so to speak, is.
There's always going to be an issue. It's never going to be right. So what is perfection? Then you ask yourself, well, all right, what's good? And do we find that little lazy spot somewhere in between? Is one administration going to be different than the other administration? Is one going to go so far in one direction that the other is going to go in this direction? And we're all caught in the middle. But I don't have an answer to that question.
What's wrong with today's immigration law? Because I'm an immigrant. I chose this country. And by the way, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
I support military. I support law enforcement. I came from the front door, knocked on the door, and got my student visa, got my green card, my work permit, got my green card, and waited 5 years for citizenship. Mm-hmm. And my best friend, who's also my chosen brother, is an immigration attorney. There is nothing wrong with the immigration laws. There is
the enforcement of the immigration law. Correct. Yeah.
The enforcement of it. So why can't we push for enforcement first, and then for modifying
amazing statement.
H visas and whatever.
Yeah. So amazing statement here. So I get asked that quite a bit. So we're working on this legislation, and the question I get is like, well, you can do all the legislation in the world, but what happens if nobody enforces it?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a constant.
Kind of what I was talking about.
I can't answer that question. I don't understand why the Biden administration is not enforcing the immigration policies that are in place. Why there's so many latitudes when you're seeking asylum, and the asylum process has been overwhelmed by the cartels, and then the system's been flooded. When, in all actuality, you could say, hey, look, we see this happening. We need to lock this. We need to lock down. We need to put a tourniquet on. We need to slow the process down. I'm not disagreeing with you at all.
I mean, I come from the Middle East, and if you look at Middle Eastern countries, I'm sure you've been there for one of your fun stuff that you were helping our country. If you are there illegally, you go to prison, and maybe you come out, maybe your body comes
different. Right? Different.
So why in Middle East is different, and Far East is different, and some of the Europe, not all of them, is different than us being open border for everybody to come in.
Hey,
would you allow anybody to come to your house without knocking on the door and you opening the door and allowing them in?
No, I wouldn't. And I don't think anybody that argues the other side would allow that either. And there's no simplistic way to answer to what the question the statement that you just made. We're the United States of America, and we're the most loving, caring group of 330 plus million individuals that have different perspective and perceptions, but we are the ones that are called. When I don't care what country you are, we're the ones that are called. And then when there's bad things happening, this is what people come to. And that's just the narrative that is shared globally about the United States.
And they still hate the United States.
I got to stand on a street corner every day in Washington, D.C. and hear everybody tell them how much they hate the United States and they wish they'd burn to the ground while they're standing here. I was the one standing across the street when they raised the American flag, the Palestinian flags at the Union Station.
They should be shot.
I can't say.
This is America. This is the United States.
They should not be shot.
Tell me what you did, Congressman.
That should be dealt with. But you're recording this too, so I'll tell you exactly. We went. Myself and a few other congressmen went across the street and lowered the Palestinian flags. We raised the American flags back up because it's our country. We promised to protect our country against all enemies, foreign and domestic. But every citizen in the United States, every legal immigrant, has that right underneath the Constitution to protest. They do. And I got to tell you, it's things that they do in other cities and other states around the country don't happen here in these counties that we live in. We're very blessed. We don't tolerate that sort of behavior. And I am no stranger to sharing that information everywhere I go. And having conversations with members of Congress that are from the cities that are really good, like Oregon, and in Chicago, and Detroit, and New York City. And you hear, and this is even on the Democratic side. I love engaging with my Democratic colleagues. Man, that's it. It's like, man, they shake their head. I was like, if you want to see how it really can be, you need to come home with me. Because we just don't tolerate that.
That's the whole problem right there. We've tolerated too much.
Overall.
Very, very challenging problem set. You know, and with the immigration process, you know, the system got overwhelmed. I mean, you should have to judge the system itself. The weight surged the border. It overwhelmed the system.
And we let them in. That's the problem. We didn't have to.
We're not enforcing the law.
Once they hit the soil in the United States, I got you. I know. Hey, buddy, I argue it all day long too. I do. But our laws state once that foot hits the ground, they have to go through the process. We can't do the old West mentality.
Well, there are two things.
I
didn't say shoot them. I'm just saying.
I know you didn't say shoot. I got you.
I was saying that they're coming here for the freedom, for all the freedom we have. The Democrats just want them here for the vote for them. And they want the vote so they can finally get their socialist agenda in and turn it back into what they turn it back into.
My Democrat colleagues, my top. My birthday's next week. You give me that?
Sure. How much is it?
You don't want to know. It's pretty pricey. There's actually on both sides. It's not just Democrat or Republican. On both sides,
yeah.
They'll say everyone has a right to have their freedoms, right? And if their livelihood and their lives are in jeopardy and where they have that right to come here and do this. You talk to both sides will say that to them. You know, our argument is like, hey, look, you can't just, like you said, you just can't flood the system. That's not the way to do it. In any other country around the globe, you're like, there's a process here. There is a line that you have to get in. You have to go through the process, or that's accountability. So we have accountability on exactly what's happening here, and that's absolutely gone by the wayside, unfortunately. And you'll say, hey, look, man, there's you don't really kind of know the number, but I was like 10, 15, 20 million illegal aliens in our country. And you have these conversations like, hey, you don't understand. I try to tell them, you need to come to Texas with me. I'll take you down to Eagles Pass. And that's 5 hours from here. And I'll show you what these little towns, how overwhelmed or underwater they are. Because the grocery stores are empty. The police department is fully, there are like 3 people that, in bracket, like a sheriff and like 2 police officers. And everything is just happening, and nobody feels the force. Like talking about cancer, nobody really. Like I can talk to you about cancer all day long. If you never had cancer, it doesn't grab you. Right. So you try to share that experience with everybody. I got to talk to everybody I can up there. But it's just some folks like, you know what? It doesn't touch me. I don't smell it.
How do we
need to let it touch them.
The governor did a great job too. Like, anyway, you want to smell it? Here it comes.
Yeah.
In my New York colleagues, ones that are like, I'm going to say that are there where they're stopping and they're like, oh my goodness. And I was like, hello, yeah, you got a couple hundred. We got 5,000, 10,000 a day.
Yeah. Right.
Help me on this one, you know.
Yeah,
they're being overwhelmed. They ought to be here.
Send some to Martha's Vineyard. So
Congressman, it was an eye-opener when we had the Congressional delegation at Eagle Pass 6 months or so ago. You were there.
Yes, sir.
Speaker was there, and we had roundtable discussions where we sat down with the Congress people from the other parts of the country that were there. I saw a lot of wide open eyes among some of those Congress people, that congressmen and women that are from other parts of the country, when there were groups of immigrants coming across the river while they were standing there for their PR opportunities. And their eyes just were huge. With DPS and the National Guard standing there, the people were still flooding across in groups of 30 and 40 right in front of the congressman.
So you have a congressional member, like I represent you guys in D.C., right? And the numbers are anywhere from 650 to 800,000 and growing. The numbers are congressional members who I speak for. Like I speak for us. And then you have members that represent their base are, hey, look, let them all come. Open border, don't even plant a flag, let them roll. That exists. And they vote, right? So those are somebody you're going to have to convince and persuade to go against what their base is telling them to do. It would be like me voting in D.C. the opposite of how I vote. Which
at this point, in all honesty, the way I see it is anybody that has any common sense or brain has already decided that this is crazy and they don't want it anymore. And then you have a few people who, for some reason, feel like they need to follow the elites, the movie stars, and people that you don't. Why would you care what they think? Why would you care what they tell you?
Oh, that's because everybody lives
People
off,
need some
lives off
people.
the phone these days. There's people. It's come to a point where more people will we focus in on Scripture. We focus in on our Lord and Savior, right?
Yes.
There are people that are so mesmerized by that 6 seconds of screen time of whoever's talking to them. That's their deity.
That's it.
They've lost their way.
Yeah.
And it's, I think social media is not there. I told you that. That's the most evil invention ever.
It is.
I hate that
Are your
too.
kids on it?
No. Absolutely not.
Do they have phones?
My son has that he bought and takes and he pays
The bill.
the bill. He's 11. And the only reason he has it has my phone and my wife's phone and my brother's phone number. That's it. No internet. No.
That's what my great nephew is. But I have a question, okay? God forbid that Kamala Harris wins this presidential election, okay? Okay. God forbid. So, what can you, as a congressman, are you going to be able to do to get that wall built?
To get the wall built?
Yes, Kamala.
If Kamala
No way.
wins.
Well, I can't. There's no way I can speak to that. There's actually building
That's
it
up
right
to the
now.
state, actually.
They're actually building the wall.
So now is that up to the state? Or
Well, if it's on private land, then the ranch owner or the landowner
They just bought a.
can say, "Hey, look, you can." In McAllen, a ranch owner said, "Hey, roll all day."
okay.
You can do that.
They just bought a ranch, 114 acres or something. I heard
Oh,
where the rape tree
Yeah, I saw
was
it.
and everything, and they.
I saw it on social media.
Yeah, hold on. So if it's, I can't answer that. I
Oh,
really have
okay.
no idea.
Okay.
I don't.
So basically, if she wins, you're probably going to have your hands tied to a certain.
So it depends on what the Senate and the House both look like. Let's just say
okay.
we take that.
Okay.
Let's say if we keep the House,
Okay.
the Republicans maintain control of the House and the majority, and we take the Senate. Okay. Then we control Congress, right? And then so the president has executive authority. She has some latitudes, and if it takes funding, they have to go through us.
Okay.
Okay. So there's the checks and balances that we all learned about when we were in junior high, elementary school, and high school. Which is a good, if you remember that, right? I had to really peel back the onion on my civics. Oh, okay, we're going to Congress. So we'll have to play that thing out. But they're actually building on the wall right now.
Oh, okay.
You never hear about that on the media.
What she was saying, it was on Texas Minute. We acquired a 1,400 acre ranch by the Rio Grande that they're building on.
Yes, sir.
If there's, let's say, and praise God, I hope it's not going to happen. Let's say we have a president we don't like,
We do.
and they issue an executive order about future. And but we have the Congress, both houses. How hard is it to override the executive order? Do y'all have to do reports, or can y'all override it? What percentage?
There's the system itself right now. It's happened with every president. It doesn't matter if it was even if it was a red sweep. Then the states, Texas sues the United States government every day. That's all I'm doing. Buddy.
That's right.
That's just kind of a litigious umbrella that's going to live over everything. The Democratic Party are brilliant at the way they work the courts. Brilliant.
Well, they planned way ahead of time.
But they are Jedi Knights at it.
And so we got a couple.
A lot of people forget how miserable it was when Mr. Trump got elected the first time. You got to remember that, right? I actually was in D.C. For 2 years of his presidency, and it just one thing after another. Like one thing's kind of fading out. Hey, what can we throw on top of it? Oh, here's something. Let's go this way for a second. And then they started going after members of Congress and members of the cabinet and anything. I mean anything. If a member of the cabinet did one thing, which I'm not saying that's a good thing or bad thing, it was like just whatever it was. It was full-fledged onslaught to a point where Mr. Trump was like, the only way this is going to go away is if you go away. I don't know if he said that or not, but you kind of remember how many cabinet members got released?
Oh, I remember. But he surrounded himself. Some of his people were enemies.
Don't put.
Surround yourself with your enemies.
Well, he knows. Okay, so now, everybody's got to be on the football field and get hit. One was like, all right, I need to shift my pads around a little bit. You know what I mean? My elbow's not tight enough. That really hurts. I guess that's a pretty good way to put that, right? Right. So, yeah, I don't, and when we'll come to find out who he starts populating the cabinet with, and Elon Musk is like, I'm cleaning the whole government. It's kind of.
I can't wait.
See what he's going to do if that actually happens. It's tricky too because I don't feel like, hey, if Elon gets in there, what's he going to do? It's like I don't even know what position you could give him because you can't keep your stuff. Like I had to sell my company. You can't. It's tricky, right? You can't have any income coming in from something else. You are like I am strictly a member of Congress. That's it.
Elon can put his mom in charge
or something. But the great thing about him is like I get rid of it all. I'll just give it away. And I'll build something else here in a couple of years. And he could do that.
Well, don't you just put it into a trust or something?
There's 1,000 things.
Or you can be an advisor with no pay.
Or you can be an advisor with no pay.
And kind of like Verbank.
Russell.
Yeah. Where would they put him?
That's like Mr. Trump with his vice president. Nobody knew. I don't even think Ms. Trump knew. He just kind of drops it. That's his thing, though. That's how he operates. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Comment question, James O'Keefe. If you haven't seen his documentary, A Line in the Sand.
Okay. I have not seen it. Is that a Netflix thing or Amazon thing?
Right now, I think it's on through Tucker Carlson Network.
Okay. A Line in the Sand?
Line in the Sand.
Line in the Sand, okay.
What's it about?
It's about immigration. You used the word, I get probably got 10 questions, I'll try to do one or two.
What?
You used the word a minute ago, foreign immigration. I think any immigration is foreign. Is there a difference?
Did I populate those two words together? It was my word salad today. Don't hang out.
That ain't word salad.
No, that was your word.
I think that was my brain trying to populate a sentence. Yeah. I won't put that on social media or anything. All right.
The burning question is our election system seems to have some problems. And I have delved into this a lot. And before I make this statement, I went on ChatGPT and I went on that other thing, starts with a G. I don't even like to use the word anymore, to confirm Canada uses paper ballots. They hand count them at the end of the night. That's that. Why? What are our obstacles to making that happen? Because everybody I talk to says, "Oh, that will never happen. You can't do that. That's just crazy."
Well, you can never. And that's political space we live in.
Right now,
never say never.
We don't have a country, I don't think. So I'd like.
Well, we do have a country.
Somehow.
We absolutely
not without a border.
We absolutely do have a country. Don't ever walk away from that. I fought 2 wars to make sure that we have one. Okay, and the veterans in here did the exact same thing. So I understand your frustration, but when you walk out that door to see them pretty pine trees out there and realize this is the greatest place ever, we do have a country. All right? This is not me telling you that. This is Morgan. This is what I would say. This is Morgan saying this. Okay. The elections themselves live inside the states, right? And it's county to county. Like I said, never say never. We can make the decision to go to paper ballots.
But in Texas, we somewhat have a paper ballot.
Yeah, we do. You slide it in the machine. I did it yesterday.
Right. The machine is the problem.
Yeah, it is. I can tell you, I was on a recount committee, and we recounted, and she was too.
Every ballot.
Every ballot.
Yeah.
Hand counted.
Yeah, I hand counted. We did a recount on
Everybody,
primary.
everybody write this one down. Stolenelectionsfacts.com. Stolen elections, plural, facts,
Texas?
plural. Stolen
I understand,
elections.
but is it Texas election?
So,
Is it Texas though?
Congressman, isn't
It has to
presidential
do
election
with everything. The voting machines there's a long history of them and a long history of corruption with them.
So here's
one more question before I go.
I bet.
Have you heard of, make sure I get it right here, Cartel del Sol?
No.
You should. Okay, this is for you. There's some notes there. You have some staffers or something that can.
You don't have to hand it to a staffer if I'm sitting here in front of you.
Wait, say again?
You don't have to hand it to a staffer if I'm sitting here in front of you.
Well, I'll help you. I'll be your staffer.
Is that the combination of two cartels coming together?
No, it's one growing cartel, which
there is grumblings in the wind that there's two cartels that are converging.
This is much bigger than Mexico.
Two cartels converging.
Oh, great.
and I make
I'm sorry, go ahead, just
real quick comment. We forget that the election next Tuesday is really a collection of 50 state elections. It's not a national election, although it's national candidates on the ballot. So what we do here in Texas may not work in Oklahoma, and Oklahoma may not work in Nevada. And we have a tendency to forget that kind of stuff.
It's hard to break it apart because we're voting for the national election at the state and county level
and city.
And yeah, so it's just this kind of complicated spider web that, and it lives together, so you can get kind of lost in translation. We do our absolute very best. I mean, our counties really run a very effective and efficient election, and we have Harris County in our district too. And it's tricky, right? And I have to be very delicate how I say it. It's tricky because Harris County is Harris County. So we have to keep a watchful eye. That's where the clerks and the poll watchers come in. That's where we have to work along party lines. It's like, I'm sitting here with you. We got to do this together. Let's make this ring right. But it's all about that. Is that something you want me to read? Because
I just wanted have you ever seen it yet?
No.
Okay.
Big guy? Is that me?
It's one of the number one bestsellers. It's the big guy.
Okay, Vice President.
Yeah.
So, Congressman, tell them a little bit about the turnout we've been having across the county. Across the district.
Yeah, county. So we're breaking all the records as far as voter turnout.
And y'all had 1,000 people vote yesterday? Is that what?
1,041.
That voted yesterday?
And that is happening all over
Monday,
the district and all over the county.
We've exceeded what we normally get.
For the
whole time.
Approximately 16,000 registered voters, and we've already
exceeded 7,000.
half.
Right.
Well, I'm in Willis, Texas, and man,
we're killing it.
We had great
right there. The community center is just amazing. We were there yesterday, so amazing. And then we had two voting sites in Harris County that are in District 8 that are this is the word I got yesterday. We're confirming this.
The biggest,
the largest voter turnout in the state are these two.
Is in in Harris County.
And are y'all doing exit polls there?
No.
Just curious.
I think
Because you can lie.
conservatives are very motivated. I really do.
What's that?
Yeah, I think conservatives are very motivated.
They are. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. So you kind of feel not only as like what we all are. We talk about trying to put this thing. Hey, this is what we. And you almost get this. It's like, all right, hey, everybody's listening.
Even New Jersey is having a massive turnout.
Hi.
Yes, New Jersey, and it's way above what it's good.
I was at a baby boys baseball game. I was the little guys. And I was behind the plate catching behind the little boy catching. And I don't know if they did this on purpose or not, but I like to think it's good. I'll stand there on both sides, both teams, both parents, and they're like, I stood. You could hear, they kind of elevated their voice. I stood in line for 2.5 hours ago yesterday. The other guy's like, well, I was there for an hour and a half, and then we got lunch and came back. And I kind of looked over and smiled at him there, like, all right, good man, tell everybody keep going, let's keep going. And the lines are just outside around the building. Mark's brother and I, we voted yesterday with my wife, and it took about 45 minutes to get through the line, which was a lot of fun. to sit there because.
Tell them about your lady that you talked to.
I didn't say a word.
I was going to say you're not allowed.
I was dressed just like this. I had sport coat on. I was dressed like this.
Had to take that cap off. Though.
Yep.
No, I have my hair done and everything. No, I didn't have anything.
You can tell we work elections.
You can tell we watch elections.
They gave us the once over, but Marcus is standing. We're standing next to each other, and these two ladies walk up. Two ladies walk up, and they're behind us, and they're talking, standing there. And the folks that are in front of us, my brother and I, are kind of engaging us a little bit, having small talk. My brother's very loquacious too, man. He likes to chat everybody up. And you could kind of tell that they were trying to figure out which one was which. Twins.
Yes.
And the young lady, one of the young ladies behind us, said something kind of to the both of us, and we both turned around at the same time, and she recognized who we were. And I mean, it was like Christmas time for Fortune. I had to go get my camera. And her phone. Yeah, so she just goes and gets a phone. She comes back. She's like, I have to get a picture. Like, ma'am, I cannot take a picture with you inside this yellow line. And that's the only thing I said from start to even everybody that was working the polls, they were talking to me. I just handed my ID and shook my head. Went and did my thing, walked outside, and and then we started bouncing around the polling sites. We walked into a polling site. I walked into a polling site, and I was talking to the election judge. I was, hey, how you doing? Just checking in, how things going? And she looked at me. And I didn't know she didn't. I got you to know who I was. And she's like, "Who are you?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm Congressman Luttrell. I'm driving around the district. Just want to say hi to you." And she's like, "What are you doing here?" I was like, "I'm just saying hi." And she's like, "I've been doing this for 30 years, and I've never had anybody come by and do what you're doing."
Wow.
I was like, "You want me to leave?" She was like, "No." I was like, "I'm not breaking any rules." I did have. I was like,
Can you go inside the polling place and say that?
Yeah. I was standing.
He wasn't electioneering.
Yeah, I was just standing in the corner.
Oh. Well, why don't you walk
There's
down
different,
there?
before that, one of the polling people came out to get it and wanted him to get the election people fired up. Not to say.
I called up and I was like, "Hey,
You want to go to
we just came."
Oh, good.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, we were there first before we came here. And I was like, "Hey, I called up DC. I was like, hey, I'm in the district. I'm just floating around, checking out polling sites, saying hi to everybody. Is that cool?" And they're like, "You have your name on your shirt?" I was like, "No, it's just me." She's like, "Yeah, it's fine." I was like, "Okay."
Some people just are strict.
And she's like, "I've been doing this for 30 years, and I've never had anybody come up and do this." And I was like, "Yeah, now."
One of our people have these shirts. You know those.
Isn't the objective of the Democrat Party letting all of these people in to vote? And isn't it true that they're finding people that are immigrants that are voting?
So there have been, I think even now, illegal immigrants that have tried to vote. The system, like how we operate, is you have to prove that you are a citizen to vote. Is the Democratic Party allowing this mass migration specifically for voting purposes? I'm going to say
it's probable.
You can always talk probability. Like, is that their number one issue? Like, hey, let's flood the country with all these people and get these votes. No. And the reason I say no is because you have to prove when you go vote that you're not an illegal alien.
Not in California.
But what it does change is the census. Okay?
Yeah.
So that adds members and subtracts members.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big deal. Because that's majority minority.
Can I ask you a question?
What if I said no?
This is going to be our last one.
Oh, she'll ask me anyway.
I know. I just like.
So, okay, this might sound, mean, but I am a mean person.
She's blunt. She's not mean.
So, Kamala Harris's parents are not citizens of the United States. So, technically, she's an anchor baby. So, Can we like get some legislation that says you have to be like a third generation citizen or?
I wouldn't. You don't even have to have that conversation. Don't even run down that road.
The Constitution basically says you have to be born.
Yeah, you have to be born in the United States.
All right, let's get a picture real quick there.